The Africa Prosperity Dialogues, dubbed the Kwahu Summit, is the brainchild of the Africa Prosperity Network. The maiden dialogue will be held from 26th to 28th January and has been christened as Kwahu Summit because the idea was birthed at the Rock City Hotel in Kwahu. The Africa Prosperity Dialogue series have been established as a convening platform for African political and business leaders to push initiatives to transform Africa with the goal of achieving prosperity across the continent through enhanced economic cooperation, deeper trade and integration, and accelerating impactful investments. Speaking at a pre-engagement summit of the dialogue held in Accra, the Executive Director of the African Prosperity Network, Dr. Eugene Amwa, called on African business leaders and industry players to leverage on the Africa Free Continental Trade Area for more opportunities.
We do have the potential to lift an estimated 30 million people from extreme poverty. We must, all of us must work together to leverage the AFCFTA to unleash the full potential of this continent and to change the narrative about Africa. It is our hope that the maiden Africa Prosperity Dialogues, dubbed the Kwahu Summit, will help define concrete actions by political and business leaders across the continent, including the right mix of policies. We also do hope that the summit will foster a greater sense of purpose for more robust intra-African trade to happen to support the much-needed industrialization of this continent, which is so key for the prosperity of all Africans.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, indicated that the African continent is blessed with a multiplicity of natural resources and investors must come on board to explore and invest.
A minimum of 12% of our oil and gas, not to mention that this is the continent that harbors 65% of the remaining arable land left in the world for cultivation.
Meanwhile, the Secretary General of the African Free Continental Trade Area, Wamkele Mene, noted that his outfit will engage more with the private sector to discuss ideas about how they can collaborate to tap into the continent's rich resources.
To ensure that the private sector is at the center and that the private sector is one of the pillars of implementation of this agreement. The governments are negotiating the agreement, but they are not negotiating the agreement on their behalf. They are doing so on behalf of the private sector. And so it is very, very important that we have collaboration with the private sector, that we jointly identify the challenges, that we jointly identify the opportunities that will be presented by this market of 1.3 billion people, which is projected by the year 2035 to be a combined market, that is to say consumer spending and business spending close to 7 trillion United States dollars by the year 2035.
The Minister of Information, Kwahu Oponkroma, urged for an all-hands-on-deck approach to brainstorm on ideas to boost inter- and intra-Africa trade.
The African Prosperity Network for showing faith with the idea that was birthed and announced to us some months ago, and for ensuring that it is really coming to life this January here in Ghana. The importance of this platform and the dialogues that will take place here cannot be overstated. First of all, it's a platform on which you will find a very strong confluence of ideas. And as I'm sure you know, the world itself is built on a foundation of ideas. It's important that African leaders, African industry coalesce and fine-tune the kind of ideas that will open the gates to the next frontiers here in Africa. So a platform like this gives us a real opportunity, not a political summit, not some other kind of summit, but a confluence of ideas between industry practitioners and policymakers that would open the next frontiers of Africa.